Unit 3 Study Guide, questions 9 through 12. Okay, number 9. All of these problems, the goal is to solve for the given variable. Solving equations, you need to undo what's being done to the variable. The variable is the b. A number next to a variable means multiply. They're multiplying b by a negative 3/5. You need to undo that multiplying by a negative 3/5. To undo multiplying by a negative 3/5, you're going to divide by a negative 3/5. And the quick way to show that is just to put a bar under this and put a negative 3/5. That is going to get the b by itself. Our equal sign, one of the things I like to have my kids do is put a line down the page. The equal sign needs to come straight down the page. So back to the problem. We're dividing this side by a negative 3/5. To keep it balanced, to show the world that everything is still equal, you have to do the same thing over here. You need to divide by negative 3/5. On this side, on the left side, the b is going to be by itself. You get 1b. On the right, write this out. This is 6 being divided by a negative 3/5. You can put a 1 under that 6 to make it look like a fraction. And the thing is, you don't really divide with fractions. You multiply by the reciprocal. So really this problem says 6 over 1 times a negative 5/3. I like to keep the minus sign up with the numerator, so I get a negative 5/3. I would again remind you, you could just multiply and get negative 30 over 3. I like to reduce first. 6 and 3 can both be divided by 3. So if you reduce, the 3 divided by 3 becomes a 1. 6 divided by 3 becomes a 2. So now you have 2 times 5, you get negative 10. 1 times 1, you get 1. Negative 10 over 1 is the same thing as negative 10. So your solution is b is equal to negative 10. Problem 10, same thing. We want to isolate the variable. We need to get the a by itself. This time they're doing two things to the a. First thing again, I'd like you to have a line through the equal sign because the equal sign needs to come straight down the page. They're doing two things. A is being multiplied by negative 3, and they're adding 8 to it. So the first thing you should do, undo this adding or subtracting. You want to isolate the variable, get rid of the part that's over here with the variable, but not directly attached to it. So get rid of the plus 8. The opposite of adding 8, or to undo adding 8, you subtract 8. And again, whatever you do on this side of the equation, you do the same on the other side. So we put a negative 8 over here also. Again, that's showing the world that it is still balanced. You're doing the same thing on both sides of the equal sign. On the left, this got rid of the 8. You're still left with negative 3a. And then on the right, negative 7, or 7 minus 8, you're going to subtract. You get 1. The larger amount is the negative. You get negative 1. Now, to finish solving this, a is being multiplied by negative 3. You need to undo multiplying by negative 3. To do that, you divide by negative 3. And again, the quick way to show that, put a bar under it, put negative 3. That means dividing by negative 3. Whatever you did on this side of the equation, do the same on the other side. Divide by negative 3. On the left, you get your a, and it is a positive a because a negative divided by a negative is a positive, and that's what you want. You get it. You want to get a completely by itself. On the right, well, 1 divided by 3, that is a negative 1 divided by negative 3. A fraction is a wonderful answer. Leave it that way. 1 divided by 3 is just 1/3, and a negative divided by a negative is a positive. Don't leave a double negative like that. So the correct answer is a is equal to 1/3, and we move on. Problem 11, This time, the variable's been moved over to the right side of the equation. But again, the solution, the goal, is to isolate the variable. We need to undo what's being done over here. This one's a little bit trickier. I would urge you to think of this as 5, I don't know how to quite write this, maybe plus n over negative 3. Get the minus sign down with that 3. Definitely the minus sign belongs to this term. This is a positive 5. To get rid of a positive 5, we're going to use a negative 5. Again, first thing, let's put the line down through the equal sign to show us that the equal sign is going to go straight down the page. To get rid of a positive 5, you would need a negative 5. Do the same on the left, a negative 5. 10 minus 5 is 5. And on the right, you're going to be left with your n over, and again, put that minus sign down with the 3, n over negative 3. N is being divided by negative 3. To undo dividing by negative 3, you want to multiply by negative 3. The quick way to do that is to just put parentheses around this and put a negative 3 out here. That's multiplying by negative 3. Now that looks a lot like subtracting, so I would urge you to put parentheses around that so that it definitely looks like multiplying. Whatever you did on this side, do the same on the other side. Parentheses around the 5, multiply it by negative 3. And again, parentheses around it help you see clearly that it's multiplying. Over here, this isn't negative 3 times negative 3. This is dividing by negative 3 and multiplying by negative 3. If you wanted to, you could put a 1 under this and clearly see that this reduces so that you end up with your n by itself. On the left side, 3 times 5 is 15. Negative times a positive, negative 15 is our solution. And number 12, again, you're wanting to isolate the variable. Find it. P is over here. It's got a number next to it, a fraction next to it. It's being multiplied by 7/2, and they're subtracting 1/3 away from it. You need to undo those two things. So first, again, the equal sign is going to come straight down the page. You want to get rid of a negative 1/3 or a subtracting 1/3. You would use a plus 1/3. Do the same on the right-hand side, plus 1/3. Okay, on the left, this is 0. It goes away. You did what you wanted. You got the p more by itself. You have 7/2. P equals, on this side, to add and subtract fractions, you need a common denominator. These are common denominators. You have 4/3 plus 1/3. You just add the numerators. 4 plus 1 is 5, and you keep that denominator 5/3. Now, p is being multiplied by 7/2, so to undo that, you want to divide by 7/2. The quick way to show that, put a bar under it and put 7/2 under the bar. That's dividing by 7/2. Whatever you did on this side, do the same to this side, so divide it. Make that bar a little bit bigger. Divide by 7/2. Your next line, on the left side, these reduce. You get p by itself. Over here, write it as a division problem. The bar means divide, so write it as, and again, it's 5/3 divided by 7/2, so it's 5/3 with the division sign and then 7/2. I'm going to move over to this spot. P is equal to 5/3 divided by 7/2. You don't really divide with fractions. You multiply by the reciprocal, or it's keep dot flip, or keep change flip. The left side, again, your equal sign's coming straight down. P is going to equal 5/3 times the reciprocal, 2/7. And again, I would love to reduce before I multiply. there's nothing to reduce. So you just multiply. You're going to get P equals, I'm just looking to see if I've lost a minus sign anywhere, and I don't see that I have. So I'm multiplying numerator times numerator. 5 times 2, I get 10. 3 times 7, denominator times denominator, I get 21. That is my solution, positive 10 over 21.